Okay, can we hear it? Hello gamers. Let's go ahead and log in and see how the game goes, huh? Wait for everybody else to show up. Or they're probably already here. Okay, we're loading. We're loading. There we go. Alright. And who's here? Got two people here. Are we in?
What's up, guys?
Alright.
Hello.
Alright. We're streaming. I'm gonna go check on the browser to see if the stream is going alright. How you guys doing?
Great. Hey, thanks again for everybody, and I'll say it again when everyone's here for putting up with me and going on a little bit of a delay today. I appreciate it.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I would have been fine if we were meeting in person too, because we wouldn't be there anyways. So.
Yeah.
Okay, we're loading.
How's everyone's Saturday doing?
Doing all right. My back has recovered since Friday morning, so that's one positive.
Yeah.
It's just
we got a lot of back issues in this group. We're all getting old, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I blame the multiple 100-pound plus packages that people keep dropping off. Like,
yeah, that'll do it too. That'll
like,
definitely do it.
Like, just separate into more boxes. Like, why do you got to fit everything into a box? Like, it's so frustrating.
I like how the first thing I hear is, why do you got to fit everything into a box?
Well, they always say you always hear what you listen for. I don't know. Does that make sense? That sounded better in my head.
It makes sense if I don't think about it.
Yeah. As soon as you break it down, it's a bad saying. But for right now, it's good.
Okay, excellent.
You get a pass.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Were you trying? I have a question for you. Were you trying to do a pirate pun on your last message?
About the spilling the tea?
Oh, see. Okay, I was like, Valerian better choose today to spill some deep heart-to-heart tea. Because my power is back on.
God, I wish I had. No, we're going to sit down and have a little come to Jesus and have Valerian tell us exactly what the fuck he's up to.
Man. Yeah.
Who's still alive? Oh, yeah, there's still the giant golem that can blind you permanently.
And we still have basically those two Cyclopses are untouched, as well as the two Minotaurs. I don't think they've taken any damage either.
No.
Yeah, I think they've just been locked down this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you guys still have 4. And
wait a second, are those the only 2 Minotaurs left?
That I'm aware of, yeah.
And have either of them been hit by cold?
No,
No,
nothing that you
is.
Nothing that you've locked down.
Yeah, they're fully healed.
Yeah.
And who's got cold?
I do. I have some.
I do as well.
Cool. Man, I am like up to very few spells.
I still have 10 charges on my frost staff.
Excellent.
I have all my level 1 spells though.
Yeah. Let's see. What do I have? I have.
I didn't mark down my level 2 slot.
I have 1 level 3 spell. I have 2 level 4. I have 1 level 5, and I have 1 level 6. Plus my 1s and 2s.
I have 2 level 1s and 3 level 2s.
Gary, I believe, still has Bane. He was waiting until there was like just the last few to do it on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Bane's going to be super useful.
Then
I have one left of all my levels except 6th level. And then 1st level, I have my 1st levels. But I don't actually have any good 1st level spells. I could cast Unseen Servant.
Yeah, I pretty much dedicate all of my 1st level spell slots to casting Shield.
Yeah, Shield. Right. That's basically where it's at for 1st level.
I mean, yeah, once you get to this level and once you get to this stage in your game, your cantrips do almost better damage than a 1st level spell does.
Right.
So
I have to split mine between Hex and Shield.
Mm.
Also Fairy Fire, but I don't get too many options or too many chances to use Fairy Fire these days.
I mean, it's still super helpful because I mean, I can only grant advantage when you can see me, which shouldn't be hard to do since I'm shiny and I have a big fucking flag sticking out of my head. But
yeah, it's hard to get them to group up in a
Yeah.
good way.
I messaged Andrew on Discord.
Oh man, what if my stunt extended the radius of my spells? So I could
did
change
you
the
figure out
20
what
foot
you're
view?
doing for a stunt?
No, I've been super busy dealing with 2 essays that are due this week.
Good old essays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I still am reading one of the books that I'm writing on, so
That sounds about right.
I still have like 60 pages to read, but
Hey, if it makes you feel any better, I got straight A's on both Candide, and the Tale of Two Cities, and I never read either book.
Huh.
But I was able to write essays about them, and I passed all the tests.
Yeah, that worked for me up until like 8th grade, and then once I hit about 8th grade, I think everything was smarter than me.
No, this was AP English. I was just like, I could not read those stories. Just a word to anybody out there: A Tale of Two Cities is complete and utter trash.
Yeah, I don't like Dickens either, and I get a lot of shit for it because I don't.
Not from me, you won't.
I mean,
I preferred the parody of Candide than the actual Candide. The parody of Candide, of course, is The Princess Bride.
Is it real? Is that true, or did you make that up?
No. So the book, The Princess Bride, which is a book that is supposedly the edited down version that the guy's grandfather would read to him, is a better satire of old satire books.
I mean, Candide was good for its time, but it's not it still has relevant themes, but the work itself isn't relevant anymore.
Right. So one of the things with Candide is that it was satire. Like, it was very satirical. It was satire in a literary form.
I don't think it would be considered satire these days, but for the time it was pretty out there as far as what you could write.
And so one of the things that that The Princess Bride does is it does the satire where it has this paragraph of all the things that that one princess brought to a party, and then another princess brought things, but everything was slightly more expensive. It was to show how one kingdom was more rich than the other. But instead of writing that all out, it just has a footnote explaining what was there, and then he cuts it out, but then explains to you what it was supposed to be. But it's just that it's not very good reading, so there's no point to read that to your kid, to somebody. And so it was the whole book is written in such a way that it's the story but it's also somebody telling you the story like that their grandfather told them, but then also explaining the parts that like why his grandfather cut it out of the book
Mm.
and all this stuff. But so it's very much the book version of the movie, but it's also its own thing because it's very much a book. So um so it is like a comedy, but it's a satire of satires, and I love it.
Right on.
Yeah,
See,
way.
kids, D&D, it's educational.
Yeah,
um,
we had just talked about Candide in my history class, so
uh,
it's fresh in my mind.
yeah. The other one was that I really enjoyed reading. Way better than like A Tale of Two Cities and any of that was the Scarlet Pimpernel.
I actually haven't heard that one.
So the Scarlet Pimpernel is the story that is what Zorro and Batman are all based on. Everything goes back to the Scarlet Pimpernel. If you
Yeah, he's
read the
like like a gentleman knight sort of kind of thing.
no,
Well,
he
no,
was
like a rogue kind of. I don't know.
yeah. He was a rich guy who pretended to be a drunkard, but he was actually the most infamous person who was um, getting the aristocracy from France and freeing them and this whole thing. It like the whole point was is that he would pretend to be a drunk and people would think he was so foolish that they would literally talk about their plans while he was quote unquote passed out on the couch. And so it's very much that Zorro Batman kind of thing, and everything is based like everything like you can see like would go from that to what it became.
Is it also Enlightenment era literature, or is it later?
Um, Actually, I don't remember when it was written. That's a good question. Because I mean, it's very much based around like the timeline of it is the French Revolution, I
Mhm.
believe.
It's probably later then because the
Yeah,
French
because
Revolution happened later.
yeah, it was originally published in 1905.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Much more modern than I was thinking then.
oh yeah, yeah. I feel like that kind of book is much more in line with the kind of writing that I like, because if you go back too far, like that, some of that shit was trash. Like like like
Well,
sp-
right now I'm reading The Diligent. If you've heard of it,
no, I haven't.
it's it's a book about a French slave ship, and so we're supposed to write about it. But it's like the driest thing I've ever read, and I've read textbooks.
And I've read that. Dude, that's how I felt about A Tale of Two Cities. I will be 100% honest with you. I read the first paragraph of A Tale of Two Cities. I closed it and I said, I am not reading this. I spent 2 months ignoring it. I tried to read it again. I skipped that first paragraph. I went through the rest. And then I stopped reading it when I got to the point where it said, my blood uh, ejaculated the vexed coachman. I remember that fucking sentence to this day.
It's a
And
good sentence.
it's a terrible sentence.
I know.
At no point should any character in a story ejaculate my blood from anywhere. My blood should never be ejaculated
That is actually
in a
probably
book.
yeah. You definitely should make an. You should see your doctor.
You know what? In real life too. Don't ejaculate blood in real life either, folks. Let's get that out of the fucking way.
I mean, that's a good first step.
But yeah, it's just all terrible, right? Like, anyways, Xeon is not here. No, what's going on? Thought he said he was okay with tonight. All right.
Maybe he's having computer issues.
I don't actually have his phone number. I don't think.
It says he's idle on Discord.
Yeah. People No, I don't have him on. I really have a very limited way of contacting all of you guys.
Yeah, I was thinking the
thought you-
same thing.
I thought you had my phone number.
Let me see.
You might. I don't remember. Pretty sure we exchanged phone numbers when we went to Vegas.
Yeah, that would have made sense. But do I still have it? Like all these
Well,
phones?
let me check if I have your number.
Oh, I think
'Cause
I do
I-
have your number.
Yeah, I have your number, I think.
Oh, I don't have your number. I have your email. And somehow your Google profile. Oh, but it's
I can.
oh, sorry. That's now called Google Workspace. Interesting.
I'll shoot you a text so you can have my number.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, I don't know if you have my new number. Like I said.
Oh, a new number.
Yeah, just do it on the messenger.
Yeah.
We at least have a few different ways of contacting each other. It's less. What do we got? So, yeah, and we are starting with Moon, so we really need Andrew. What is this guy's? Ooh, yeah, you guys were so close to actually almost getting there with this guy. So close.
Has the golem been hurt yet?
Yes, he has taken 156 points of damage so far.
Oh, Xeon must have gotten to him then.
And let's see, Valerian has taken 57 points of damage so far. He's still on temps though, so.
Who do I have hexed right now? Do you remember?
I
There's
think
one
it
of the
was
dead Minotaurs,
Yeah,
I think.
I think it's this dead guy over here.
Okay.
All right. Phone number 323 895 1414. Oh wait, I forgot I was online as I was saying your number as I was typing it in. Oh no. Whatever shall I do?
Guess I'll die.
I guess I'll die then. Sometimes there's a horrible, evil, dark side of me that wants to get
Oh, I know.
information that I get. Just like punish evildoers out there with it. Then I go, no, that's
Go on a doxing spree.
yeah, like for like people whose information I know.
One day.
I mean, it's illegal. I definitely get
Well-
caught because I'm not gonna have any restraint with it. So
I was just gonna say that's only illegal if you get caught, but
yeah. It's just one of those things, you know. People go like, oh, yeah, you know,
it's one of those things you want to do but never get to.
yeah. Let's see. That one. Oh yeah, these guys are still up. But you guys at least got rid of the Devastators. That's good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to talk out of school too much, but I think I'm probably going to switch back and take on these Minotaurs that are on lockdown right now just to clear the field. I'm sure that Xeon is going to take great pleasure in destroying that the big golem.
Yeah.
Alone. But I want to stay close to Valerian too, just in case he does anything weird.
Weird. So far, Argos has been the only one who does anything
I know. Hey man,
Oh my God.
you can't get mad at the Hulk if he smashes things, okay? It's what he does.
Oh, actually, it's not that. That was really funny to me. Was you're like Valerian seems to be doing all these good things,
Uh-huh.
and you're just like, no. And then
I know.
I was also like imagining like Ardonis, because Ardonis doesn't actually know your guys' history with Valerian. Like I picture him being like, oh, this Valerian guy, he's not that bad. And then you like going after him, like trying to murder him.
Yeah, I really like this version of Argos. Really isn't that flattering. He seems very petty and ego driven.
Yeah, there's also a lot there because like you've heard things about him, and so you have this perspective of him. But even though you haven't directly seen him commit vile acts of evil or anything like that, right? Like, but he did this, and that kind of led to that, and so you're thinking it's this kind of stuff. So there's a lot of that, right? And I
Yeah.
feel, and if other people see it and they just see you acting bad towards him, and he's all like, "I'm here to help you guys," yeah.
Yeah.
You have it's very similar to dealing with somebody who's suffering, not suffering, somebody who is a narcissist, in that they lie to everybody about who they are, but then like every once in a while when you're alone with them, they're just like this vile.
Yeah. And so you're the only one. You're
the only
one
one that knows. And it seems like you're like, that's what I like, is that it like if Ardonis didn't know, you'd be like, oh, what's the matter with Argos? And like Argos is getting more and more pissed off because he's just like, this guy is not okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be completely honest, we don't know. We know he's involved in shady shit, but I mean, the only thing you could really prosecute him for is trying to be a profiteer.
Yeah, like
So
we have a lot of, we don't have hard evidence is the thing. We just know enough that we know, but we can't really like definitively prove it to someone else.
Right. I mean, the only thing that we could probably establish beyond doubt is that he's a lich or some kind of undead minion.
Oh, yeah. And then
we know one of his phylacteries.
Mm-hmm.
Although we didn't know
a lich can only have one phylactery. Unless I'm completely wrong. They can only have one.
What phylactery did he have?
He has a blood sacrifice altar.
Yeah.
It's a dual purpose phylactery.
He's a very utilitarian in that way. Well, if I'm gonna have a phylactery, it's not gonna just sit there and take up space.
Yeah, you got to feed the phylactery.
Yeah. All right.
Come on, Andrew. Where are you?
All right, man. We're delayed.
I'd hate to think that you guys, didn't play today waiting for me, and then he would miss a game because of that. That would suck.
Well, he did say that he'd be available after 4, so.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We got all that.
Do you happen to remember which right I had active?
I
really need to mark myself with something to remember.
Yeah, I can find pretty.
I'm digging through, looking up through the scroll.
Because it doesn't take long. All you got to do is get to his last attack that he did the thing.
That's true. Let me see.
Because you were always doing like the.
Well, my last attack was an ice knife.
Oh, that's not gonna help.
That was a con save, dex save.
Let's see, chat log.
Oh, it's the right of the storm. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Let me do something. Let me see what I can mark myself with.
Had let's see here. Jerry's doing okay. Let's see. He, I think
You're not
he's
using yellow markers for anything, right?
I don't think right now I'm not.
Okay. I'll
And I
mark
can,
myself with yellow for now.
all right, and I'll just avoid it.
When do I get a new right?
Actually, really proud of Gary. He did a really good vicious mockery last time.
That was a real stinger. You got him.
Yeah.
You really got yourself with that attack.
I really got myself with that attack.
Really stuck it to that DM. So you were mentioning Aarakocra in the chat, and
Oh, right.
then I just said to myself, man, next campaign I should convince Eddie to do an all flying campaign where we all just live in like cloud cities and fly everywhere. We can have Aarakocras and owl people, and
Eddie,
pixies.
we can do Zendikar.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's not that it's
That's
all
all
cloud, but
floating
there's
island.
definitely there's a lot of floating landforms, land masses.
I think that would be something we haven't done before. Just throwing it out there.
Oh man, Zendikar is the land of ropes.
Yeah, lots of ropes.
You have to have ropes. You have to have climbing gear. Because it's like you can't just have a climbing speed. You need to be able to swing down and everything. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why lots of flying people, so we can have real 3-dimensional like battles and get used to doing that. If you don't do it, I think I'll do it.
Yeah.
Sooner or later.
You said you're going to send out a survey before we do any new campaigns, right?
Yeah. It really I'm really waiting because I could just remove the last battle and send it out now, but I kind of want to get feedback on. I guess I don't know if it depends on how things go here. I don't know if you guys are even ever gonna go see his Argos's ancestral home that I built.
Yeah, we've been trying, but things keep happening.
I think I made that like months ago. Now it's late March.
Well, I mean, the nice thing is it's made. So, I mean, even if we, move on to something else, if we ever want to come back for a one-off or something, it's already made. And things can be repurposed.
I actually built it over December when I wasn't doing anything with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
The day that I had off, I would actually every once in a while I'd actually go and I'd open up the map and I was like building it up over time and stuff.
Oh, it's probably extra good then. You put the extra time and effort into it.
Yeah, there's so much stuff involved with it, and then I sat there and I created the all the encounters and stuff for it, and I added all the things. The only thing I didn't go back to and do is add specially written descriptors. But, yeah, it's planned out really well, and that's where all these monsters that I got came from, is from the setup, and I wanted you guys to be used to them so that when you went in there, you would know what to be prepared for. Because I didn't want to spring on you, hey, here's regenerating, poison spewing minotaurs that can only be killed if you use cold on them. That would have been an asshole thing to do.
I think I don't know, man. That's that's very thoughtful of you. I think that's the first time you've ever done that.
It's actually not. I always set you guys up.
Well, I'm being a little sarcastic, but yeah.
But no, there's a lot of times where I go and I do something and you're like, why are you doing that? Like, oh, because you just want to kill all the people. And I'm like, no, it's because I want to eat up all the reactions of this Minotaur so you guys can run in.
Mm-hmm.
So I am on such a different energy level today, and especially right now because I pretty much I let's see if this changed. So I did some, and no, it didn't. Hasn't imported the new ones yet. So annoying. So I wanted to work on my character model. So I got a new thing and I did a new save, but I think I need to do a new import to get the new model in here. Let me see. Let me turn this off for a moment. And since we're waiting anyways, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna take like 2 or 3 minutes and make a sandwich. I'll be back.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, I think I need to do that. Okay, so I think this is the new one. If I select that. Oh my god. Oh my god, it's so stupid looking. I have made a mistake. Okay, so let me turn on the vision here. Okay, so let me get nice and big for anybody who happens to be in the chat here. Let me lock myself here. Get myself nice and big so you can see it. And God. So if I accidentally go angry face, I go my mouth goes out. Do you see this?
Yeah,
And
there's a
then
slight delay, but yeah.
yeah, just smiling, and then I changed my face, and then my sad face I changed as well. And then this one is the same because I'm like, this is just perfect. There's no reason to change this. For absolute joy, but my fun face is different. So if I smile, it does that. But every once in a while, because I naturally have a scowly face. Every time I scowl, it goes like this. And this is a mistake. This is this is a curse from God.
What did you do to deserve it?
Gosh. Oh my God, the eyes. No, I will not tolerate this. My name is Karen.
God.
Oh my
I
God.
I feel bad for any child who was just recently named Karen before all the
Oh my
connotation
gosh.
behind
Yeah,
it.
no, you can't, right? Like there's so many people that if I just lift up my eyebrows, it's like, oh, how are you doing? Ah. Okay. So easy to accidentally scowl though. Like if I look down, it sometimes does it. And oh well. All right, let me shrink myself down. Yeah, it's like you can't really go around being named Adolf anymore, right? Like
Well, people have had some time to deal with that name.
yeah.
So
Yeah, Karen is kind of it's just kind of it did kind of come out just like, yeah, now this is just the problem you have now.
oh, I learned something really interesting about
Huh?
Hitler and his family. So we were talking about this in my history class. He had an older brother that ran away.
Yeah.
He was like 14 or something when he ran away. He went to eventually he ended up in the U.S., signed up in the U.S. Navy, and fought in World War II.
What?
Yeah.
Huh.
He changed his name once he came to the U.S., but
Okay.
he never had any children, so their bloodline ended.
Oh wow. Really. The amount of time I just scowl angry because I really need to turn that one off. I'm like, this is I need to only do that when I'm asking to do it. This is
You need to make the conscious choice for that one.
yeah, because it's so strong. It's such a powerful it's such a powerful one.
You need to control yourself. So you're gonna hurt someone. I love how we went from such a huge map to such close quarters.
Oh
Within
yeah,
two
in between
fights.
the fights. Yeah.
I have all these AoE things I can do now, and I don't want to do them.
Yeah, it's I think it's really fascinating.
It changes it a lot, just the amount of space you're given. Mostly with magic, but other things too.
Able to.
Like if
I
I
just
want to make an ice wall, it needs to be 100 feet.
oh, because it's just so massive. You can't like
Yeah,
stack it or double it up or do something with it.
I can make a circle, I think, or like a square out of it to trap people inside.
Oh wow.
Let me see. Wall of ice. I can make a dome, or a sphere, or a wall.
Okay, let's see. Alright, I did some calibration stuff. Hopefully that'll help. Yeah, okay, I'm not really doing okay. I'm not really doing angry face anymore by accident, so at least that's a huge improvement in my case.
Jesus, this
Um
has so much range.
oh god. Yeah,
This
it's
is
when you
this is
start
the
getting
range for a cone of cold.
oh my gosh. Yeah, that's yeah, when you start dealing with super close quarters like this, like everything is like so different. I thought it would be really cool because I'm like, hey, you know what we always do is huge maps. So I'm like, okay, let me throw the opposite.
Yeah, you've done a really good job of changing up, even though like we've seen, harpies in, I don't know, 7 out of 10 fights that we've done, but you keep making it interesting. Either by changing elevations or, by putting in different groups of monsters. It's worked really well so far. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's yeah, and I keep trying to add map elements whenever possible because I feel like that helps a lot. My favorite was adding the fool's weed because it's sort of like it blocked off the map without blocking off the map.
Mm.
So it's sort
Hmm.
of like, yeah, you can go there. Okay, start making saves. Are they low saves? Yeah, but
It
All
just
you-
takes one.
Yep, just one.
I tried messaging him again, and I'm going to tag him. There we go. And then I hope he didn't forget or didn't fall asleep or something.
I mean, he might have.
Yeah. Moon was up here. I mean, he goes last in the whole thing, and Moon goes first. I'll just
Yeah, but I mean, this is kind of a pivotal fight. I mean, if he's
yeah.
not going to be here, I think we should probably just call it.
Yeah, we can talk about other things, because well, actually, one thing I can do is,
I can start doing my stunt, I guess, while I'm waiting.
oh yeah, we can talk about it.
Let's see.
So I had the AT&T people come out to try and upgrade my internet,
Yeah.
and it took, a couple hours of them troubleshooting, and I knew where they should start, but of course they don't listen to me because I don't know anything. And
Did they end up
so,
back at what you were saying?
yes, they did. And eventually it was, well, I think it's the split from the street. It's like, oh, really? Do you? That's so funny because I've been telling you for like an hour, hey, you got to check the split from the street.
Oh gosh, I remember we had a gigabit splitter at one of my jobs, and one of them was bad, but couldn't tell which one. And it took like multiple days, and the IT guy had to come up with like a thing just to be able to find out which splitter was going wonky for the test, because it was like randomly making certain things go wrong. And then after all that, it finally got fixed. I was just like, it was like tucked away like in a corner of like the ceiling.
Mm.
So it's like they had to like get up there, and then they had to like move the wires, but they changed essentially what he had to do is like they would just like change one and test it, change one and test it. But you can't, it's not like it just automatically fails. So what you have to do is you have to change it, and then you have to have things work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh no, it's still not working. So is it that it was multiple wrong, or was that wrong? So it's like, okay, leave that one in, or switch it back and then move to another one.
Yeah, that sucks. I have the same problem because the way that the house is wired and it's old, and it's on an easement, and it hasn't been updated at all. Basically, long story short, I have the best internet that is currently available, and that runs like really slow because they have to come out and actually replace the lines to get me better internet.
Oh, so they didn't actually like you.
They put a signal, or I don't know. I could be saying complete bullshit because I don't know anything about technology. But they said they put on a signal booster that helps me get a little bit more speed.
Yeah.
But that's all they can do. That's it.
Yeah, it's very interesting because the whole point of the cable internet, and the reason why it's supposed to be so fast, is because they're supposed to be using fiber optic cables, which is just beams of light instead of electricity, and that's why it's supposed to be faster. But when they were replacing it, they didn't quite get everywhere. So what ends up happening is that you might be living in that one section where they don't have the fancy cables of light, and so it goes through a converter and gets converted back to electric signals before it gets to you.
I think that's exactly what the problem is. It was something like that.
Yeah.
But in any case, that's what they've been working on. That's why the power was out a couple weeks ago, and that's why the power was out again today. Because I guess this part of Vista is finally getting some upgrades.
Oh my gosh.
They put in a new cell tower a couple of weeks ago, and that's why the power was out the first time. And then today they're upgrading more lines. So
they've been redoing a lot of streets around my house.
So that's what that is. I don't know why they have to choose the middle of the day on Saturday to schedule a power outage, but
it's really weird. Like you would think like a weekday would be more reasonable, because but I guess nothing is reasonable right now because everybody's at home. But like you would think like, all these people are working on a weekday, right? Like
right. Well, I mean, I complain about it because it's my D&D day, but honestly, like Saturday is probably the best day to do it. They can't do it. I mean, they should do it in the middle of the night.
Well, no, because if you turn off power in the middle of the night, people who
don't
have cell phone alarms that would get all messed up. But no, it's like, no, but if you think about it, like during the weekday in the morning would be the best time, because that's when nobody's supposed to be at home. But they can't do it right now because all the kids are working, are doing schoolwork. So you can't do it during the weekdays in the morning because kids are doing all their schoolwork from.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but that's probably exactly why they schedule it for the weekends, because everyone is working at home and everyone is schooling from home.
in the past that they'd be like, "Oh, hey, it's the weekend. You can just go out and have some fun, right?"
Yeah.
Laughs in pain because of COVID.
I tell you what, though, the power went out at 8 o'clock this morning. At 8:30, all 4 of my neighbors started mowing their grass.
Oh my god. I have nothing else to do.
Yep.
I shall mow the lawn. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay, so I had to I had to change how my interface works, so that way it reads my scowling less, cause and so now I don't scowl at all unless I specifically put the command for it. But instead, like where I would normally scowl, I now get sad.
Oh,
Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. I need to recalibrate this whole thing. But yeah, no, I did new faces, and I'm like really happy with the result. That's because the program that I used to make my model actually got updated, and because I don't want to like always be downloading the latest things, I will always wait a little bit, and it's like, oh yeah, here's some new. You can actually adjust your facial expressions. I'm like, yes.
nice.
Still can't wink though. I still can't wink using the program that I have to do my face tracking. Um, but yeah, it's I'm using a bunch of programs that are being independently made by different people, and they don't talk to each other. So there's some programs that do certain things better, and so for like certain things, I will use a program to do it, and for other things, I have to use another program to do it. But it's all independently being made by other people. But they're also just like putting it out for free, so it's like,
Mhm.
yay! I don't want to. I'm not going to complain.
Yeah,
Um,
free is good.
so,
And you're good enough at working with stuff like that you can blend it all together. Like I would be lost. Like I can't do that kind of stuff.
I'm really happy. I actually did the work on the model as far as like I went back through. I redid my clothing textures. So the character as is right now. Let's see. Where am I uploaded? Oh, that's the wrong one. There we go. There we go. I have yeah, so I have I created the pants. I did like a little like leopard print on the pants. I did custom work on the shirt. Um, I'm really proud of everything that I did for it, so that I could add the textures and everything. Um, so it's actually all textured for the clothing, and then I colorized it. Like I even the shoes that like nobody ever sees has like a leather texture to it.
Cool.
So
I'll check it out when I don't want to crash my internet
oh
again.
yeah. Crashing the internet's cool.
It's so much fun. I love paying hundreds of dollars a month for fucking cable and shit and have it not work properly.
Work properly? What's that?
I don't know. I've never experienced working properly.
Intuitive technology that doesn't exist.
That really, not for me, it doesn't.
I accidentally crashed my thing. I zoomed in too far.
So for my stunt, because I'm Nyxborn, single target damage stuff gets a free D10.
Yeah.
So if I want to go to a D12, does it still cost the normal amount, the +3?
Okay, so for that, what did I do for that? I believe that the way I had that working is that you don't get to just upgrade it for free. I believe I just had it be um like you can add it for free. So you can then use I'm gonna need some other stunts. So like you get the free D10, right? So that means that when you look at the damage stuff, here we go. Is that you can add like cantrip or weapon die to it, but if you wanted to add more to the D10,
Okay.
like if you were doing that, and the weapon die can also include horn, hoof, bit, and fist attacks, and
Let's see. So I already have it. So the way I found to do it, and I think it works the best way,
mm-hmm.
is to basically be adding damage to a spell that I cast, but only if the spell is cast using a warlock spell slot.
Okay, so uses a warlock spell slot.
Which is 0.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find what else to add to it.
Oh, so you're trying to take a spell you cast and make it bigger?
Yeah, a single target spell gets additional damage, but only if I'm using a warlock spell slot.
Okay, so let's see. So I was this is actually very similar to something that I had been going over for one of Xeon's stunts. And what it was that you would target self, um, and um, and then it would have to, and it was like and then it was like a passive or something. Yeah, it was like a passive for it. But I think you can do you could probably do like a bonus action or reaction if you wanted it to be like something that you could like modify that one spell for. The idea, um, let's see, and then your use economy would be your warlock spell slot. No, so no, yeah, you do it as a passive warlock spell slot. You're still at +7. Target self is -2, and duration would be instant. So you're currently at 5. Um, so you'd have to do some other thing to kind of like lower your point cost,
Let's see.
but you'd be able to add the D10 for free, and then you'd also be able to add your like your SNG bonus and stuff to it, so that way you could like make it stronger, kind of thing.
So would this qualify as based on ability I already have?
Yeah, it would be based. Yeah, because it would be based on a spell you already have, right? So, or your ability to spell cast. So yeah, so you'd get at least a -1 there. So
Well, wouldn't if you used it as a as a full action, not costing a spell slot, couldn't that give you a minus? What is it? A -2 or -3?
I mean, so the other thing you can do is like if you can take one very specific spell, right? And if
Yeah, that could work.
right, so if it's a very specific spell, then you can do the single target spell range for -1, um, and all the other stuff there, and then that would be an action. That would be -2. So you can do that. The way I was setting it up is so that it could cover all of your spells.
Mm.
And so that's the difference, right? So if you have a very specific spell that you want to be able to do this to, you do have a lot more points to play with, because then um, but it's sort of like, do you need those points, right? So let's see, that's like -1 there, and then if you want like well, it's single target, so area, well, that wouldn't add, but you could like increase the range of it, for example, um, or or increase the duration for some other things depending on it. But let's
So
say
as it is right now, because I have 4 points naturally,
mhm.
right, at this level. So for 1, 2, that would cancel, right? Because I have 4 minus, and the -2 and the -1 would be 7.
Oh yeah, from the 7, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so that would actually be 4 right there, and so you get the extra D10 for free. And so yeah, that would just be a um, passively all of your spells would just be doing an extra D10. Well, every spell you cast using your warlock spell slot would just deal an extra D10.
Damn, that's not bad.
Plus SNG bonus.
Plus SNG bonus, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll keep it like that, and then think about it a little more if I want to add anything else to it. For now,
Yeah.
I need to come up with a cool name for it.
Trying to and let's see, passive use economy. And if you're willing to take any other negatives, you can do things like adding buffs to it. And
Would this also get the dice double that we had for our other stunts?
yes, so since you're doing double dice right now because of the level, it would actually be 2d10.
All right. What is my other ability called?
Curse or something? Curse of the.
No, I was gonna try and match it to another warlock ability. I have to keep my names consistent, Eddie.
Let's see, next one. Yeah. You can also do the 2d4 since you also get 2d4 for free, which becomes 4d4. And oh yeah, and this only affects your single target spells cast with the warlock that you can do this with.
Mm-hmm.
Multi-target, you'd have to set it up multi-target for the other one. Like you'd have to
Yeah, that
pay
was.
a different stuff for that.
Yeah, I planned it only on single targets.
Oh, actually, no. Actually, I just realized something. So, because I had to do the stunt to self-target, you actually are getting a D4 buffing die for free. So that's actually different. Okay, so yeah,
Oh, I see.
you'd have to pick one spell to do it. Otherwise, what ends up happening is that you're gonna add a D4 to your damage instead, but you have to put 1 point into the bone to buff A, which costs 2 points to add 1 to your damage roll, and then you can add a D4 to damage buff. So you'd actually only be adding 2d4 plus 1 plus SNG bonus to damage, which isn't as great. It's not a full D10. Now, if you pick one spell that you want to do, then you can definitely do the D10 or 2d4.
Yeah. Let me take a look at what spells I have. Is there any way to make it like similar to preparing spells where I pick a spell at the beginning of a day to effect for that day?
That's a good question, isn't it?
Like as part of my spell preparation, I pick one to overcharge for that day.
Yeah, so pick a spell. maybe. Yeah, as long as it's yeah, because if you do it single target, then yeah, as long as you're picking a single target spell for that day, um, that should be fine. That's one of the. It's one of the like. That would be an additional restriction. So let's go down the list here. So single target, spell range -1. We're not doing anything with range yet, so everything else is going to be 0. Duration will be instant because it'll be the spell, so 0. So we're currently at -1. We're going to be doing it as an action, so that's going to be -2. So you're currently at -3, and your use economy is using a warlock spell slot, so that's 0. So we're currently at -3. The currently don't have it buffing anything, and you're getting a free D10 damage to it. And so you're currently -3. So that gives you 7 points to add like range or kind of buffing or debuffing to it.
Oh, we had the action economy as passive.
Oh no. Passive was for the self target.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because if you're doing it as a single target spell cast, then you would do the action. Because it would be part of the action. The passive is like when you want it to like always affect everything all the time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I'll do -3. So so that means that our modification is a requirement of special conditions that we need to figure out. Let's see.
So
Restrict
it
what can be
says,
affected.
yeah,
Let's say is usually like what you're affecting, but restricting what spells you can use it for would kind of be a plus. So let's say if you want to be able to use it with any single target spell, I would say that would be like a +2. So that gives you still 5 points to add something else to it. Um, and oh, man, that's So yeah, like you have points that you can like maybe make the range bigger, or you have buffing points. Actually, you have enough that you could debuff um the enemy to have disadvantage on saves against a single target spell.
that
Or
could
give
be.
you advantage on attack rolls. So
Uh, how much would it cost to boost my AC for a turn? Is
so
that a
we'd
thing I can do?
we'd have to change the duration of the stunt or last until your next turn, which is a +1. And then boosting your AC is a +3, so you'd still have 1 point left over.
Okay, so +1 per round.
And since you have that 1 point left over, you can change it from until your next round to boosting your AC for 1 minute as concentration. But then that would eat up your concentration slot. So
Yeah, I can't really do that. Uh, You said it was +3 for the +1 to AC.
Yeah, it's under bonus abilities.
I see.
It's a buffing B ability.
Um,
If you spend the +4, you can give yourself an advantage on ability checks and saving throws, resistance to damage type, immunity from the condition, or modifying the timing of an action.
actually, that's probably better for me. So if I spend the 4 points, I can give myself advantage on a saving throw. So on my next saving throw, I have advantage.
Yeah. And if that's the case, then um, it's just a next time it happens, or at least until your next turn. Yeah. So
Yeah.
lasts until your next turn. So until your next turn, after you do a stunt, your spell casting is so powerfully big that it has so much extra power that you have advantage on your saving throws.
Hmm.
While it's
I'm
doing
trying to
that.
decide if I want to buff myself or debuff whoever I hit with it.
Yeah, for the debuffing,
So if I,
like you can give them -2 to their AC for the same amount of points as buffing yourself.
if I reduce their initiative, does that move them down the ladder or down the initiative order?
Um, that the initiative one is supposed to be kind of like it's mostly
Like a
designed for,
pre-combat thing?
yeah, pre-combat thing. It's not supposed to be desetting or resetting the initiative. The timing of the action on buffing C is supposed to be about modifying your initiative um, during combat. And I just didn't write it on the debuff C, but I could definitely say modify the timing of their action, so that you can like delay their initiative, um, which would definitely be something that's sort of like I'm gonna hit enemies enough times that they're
They
all,
go last.
yeah. Which
No, it
there's
could be
not much
interesting.
difference except that they all get their turns all in a row.
Um, let's see. If I choose to give them vulnerability to a damage type, it still leaves me with 1 point.
I mean, with 4 points, you can do a debuff A 4 times and just give them a -4 to saving throws.
Hmm.
Also, if you apply at least 1 point of a debuff, you can then do a use a buffing die to do a debuff, and to add to the debuff.
So for change behavior, force target to self, is that just essentially a taunt for whatever they do next?
Yes. It's usually used for reactions. But yeah, it's a taunt ability.
Hmm. That could be useful. I have a lot of health.
A big ol' like look at me kind of moment.
Yeah. It, it fits with the fact that I'm just doing a big thing, so it forces their attention on me.
Yeah.
That would leave me with
And we did the whole delay thing.
so if I changed my the extra effect to a taunt, I wouldn't need. Would I still need the extra turn or the duration to be a turn?
Last until your next turn. No, because it would just be the next. I mean, it would still be exactly the same thing, I believe. Actually, technically, yes. Because you're not doing it as a reaction, I would say yes. You would still need it to last until your next turn.
Okay, so that leaves me.
That's just
That's 3 with
because.
those 2.
Yeah.
So is that 2 more left that I can put into something?
Well, you were at -1, so with a 2 and a 1, that puts you at you still have 2 points left over.
Okay. Um, so if I have 2 points left over, I can reduce their next attack roll by 2.
Yeah. So not only are they gonna try to attack you, but they'd also be more messy with it.
Okay, let's do that. Cool. Let me write out some wording for it.
Okay. No problem. No problem. Ardonis is will hopefully be back, and hopefully when he gets back, Xeon will be here. He said he'd be here. Getting no messages from him. Okay, so let's review. We're doing this as a single target spell. No target options, no target range, duration lasts until your next turn. We're doing it as an action, and your use economy is that you're using your warlock spell slot specifically.
Yeah.
Which means that when you cast a warlock spell as an action, so this is actually an interesting thing because it says last until your next turn. For the stunt portion of it. So you're gonna cast a spell, a single target spell, and it's gonna last until your next turn. I don't know if that's gonna affect any of your spells that are instant in any weird ways.
What was that last part?
I don't know if it's going to affect any of the spells that are instant in weird ways, lasting until your next turn.
Oh, like a reaction sort of thing?
Well, it's more like you're gonna do it, and like some of your spells are now gonna linger.
I mean, the spell I would use it most with would probably be something like, um,
Like here, just put it up in the thing. Like just click on it.
yeah. No, that's in a different window. It would be with like a mind spike or like an ice knife for the initial target.
Okay, so
Because most of my damage is coming through my Eldritch Blast, so I don't have a ton of attacking spells, and I have limited spells as my class anyway. So
Would that be usable with Ice Knife, considering that that can target more than one creature?
it would probably only affect whoever I initially target with Ice Knife, because you have to attack one person,
Mm-hmm.
and then the area will hit others.
So let me get like Mind Spike up real quick, okay?
Here, I can put it in chat.
Mind Spike is already concentration for 1 hour. Takes 2d8, save for half as much, and plus save. Yeah, so that definitely would deal the extra damage. So this one wouldn't really affect anything by lasting until your next turn. Because it's not gonna have, it's already something that, lingers,
By
right?
default, Would the extra damage be whatever damage type the spell is?
By default, yes.
Okay.
Let's see. Ice Knife. You make a ranged spell attack on a target on a hit. Target takes 1d10 piercing damage. So in this case, the extra damage would be extra piercing damage. And it doesn't do anything else to them, so for an ice knife, so except for exploding, but like you do extra piercing damage, but it would kind of like stay on them even after it explodes. It would just like kind of like linger more, I guess. I don't know. It's an interesting point. I know ice knife is an interesting one as far as single target goes because it does not count for twin casting.
Nope. I was very disappointed to figure that out.
So I don't think it might. I don't know if it'll work actually with the stunt. Like if we're using the call for twin casting for single target purposes.
I'll let you decide that because I can switch my spells out soon because I'm about to level up. So if you change that, I can work around it.
Yeah, I'm not sure it'll. What spells do you have? Let's see.
You can see my sheet, right?
Loading.
I also have Melf's Acid Arrow, but I don't have that prepared. So I imagine that should probably work with the spell.
The more interesting thing are things like at least as far as I find, are things like that technically this is adding damage even to some of your other spells like Hex.
I mean, yeah, I guess it would. Or Ray of Sickness would work too. But I can only do that once a day, so.
Tasha's. Yeah, Tasha's Hideous Laughter as well would now deal damage as well.
But wouldn't that counteract the enchantment? If you hit someone with the enchantment, then immediately dealt damage to them.
It depends on when you want to roll when the damage happens.
Yeah, so at the end of each of its turns, or each time it takes damage, that target can make another Wisdom saving throw. So sort of like you're giving them advantage on saving, but you're also dealing the damage to them.
I mean, I would probably do it with something other than Tasha since I want them to attack me.
Right. Yeah, that's the other thing too. So
here's the wording I have so far.
Cast unlock spell slot. Spell does in addition to of course, the target's attack you manage to attack.
That should be to hit, but yeah.
Yeah. So far, that's good. Let's see. Actually, this is a really interesting question. Another interesting question would be for the Scorching Ray.
I assume it would work only if I used all 3 rays on one person.
Because you can't twin cast Scorching Ray either, right?
Nope. Because it's 3 separate attacks. But I mean, you could do like the same as you were doing with Ice Knife and say that the extra damage just applies to one of the rays.
Yeah, I think so as well. Like it was like you pick one ray. For it to be.
Because then you could still target the same creature with all 3 rays, or you could split it up. I don't think that really changes anything too much.
Yeah, I didn't write the description for Melf's Acid Arrow because I never used it before. Not yet, anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of the same thing as it does splash damage over time as well. As it does, I believe it does splash damage on the second round if they fail their save.
Yeah, I believe that's how it works.
You also get the Phantasmal Force as adding damage to that as well. Actually, is that a single target?
Phantasmal Force?
It is.
I believe so.
Yeah, because it's rooting in the mind of them. Yeah, so very interesting. I have to specifically ask about Phantasmal Force because so many of the things I do are essentially AoE Phantasmal Forces. So
Which is like it's like another it's like Phantasmal. You do what you do is like Phantasmal Killer Light.
yeah. But that's usually what the effect is. It's like it's an illusion that's gonna hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just because of what the enemies are. Like the enemies just happen to have that ability. Right. I haven't gotten an answer from Andrew at all.
Yeah, I don't think he's probably gonna make it. He probably did fall asleep.
Which is like, well, I was hoping that the game would run today.
Yeah, me too. Especially since you guys just were kind enough to hold off a little ways.
And kind of like you very specifically.
Maybe something came up.
Yeah.
No, he sometimes he goes to sleep in the afternoon because he works weird hours.
Yeah.
He works overnight a lot and
Or early morning a lot.
mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be 2d10.
Yeah, like I mean, like yesterday, he didn't even acknowledge, or he didn't receive the response. That's not supposed to be accusatory until like 7:00. So yeah, I mean, he didn't even see it till then.
Yeah. That's just because busy and stuff. So
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's not accusatory. It's just like
That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, not to derail too much,
Mm-hmm.
but how offended would you be if I tried to pitch running 2 characters as twin brothers?
Okay. So I have allowed for multiple characters before as an experiment. And that experiment worked out pretty okay, except when it came to group dynamics for voting for things.
Right.
So
So my concept was they would start out with exactly the same stats, like up and down the line, but 2 different classes, twin brothers, and then the real kicker is sharing one initiative. So because they're twin brothers, they just always go on the same initiative. Then I guess if they're twin brothers, they would probably have the same opinion on things. So I think their vote would only count for 1. Anyways, not too serious. I was just thinking about it.
I wouldn't want to do a long-term campaign with it.
Oh yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
But I wouldn't.
I mean, I'm not even married to it. I have like a bunch of different ideas in my head about what I want to do.
Yeah, I mean, so do I. I mean, I post it all the
Yeah.
time for you guys.
Yeah.
I was-
I'm already getting some ideas for my next character.
You know what I was first really drawn to, and then I decided I can't do it, is I wanted to do a divine soul sorcerer so that I can be a healing sorcerer. I thought that would be kind of sick. Because you get access to the full cleric spell list. So you can make a sorcerer with exclusively priest spells.
That would be interesting.
That would be interesting. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
A
And rather
cleric with meta magic would
yeah,
be really
exactly.
interesting.
Yeah, twin healing words, twin cure wounds. Well, you can't do twin cure wounds because it's touch. But
Twin heal.
I've already played 2 sorcerers in a row, so even though I'm going to do that, I have to say no. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I thought about doing a cleric for our next thing, but I've
So did
played
I.
clerics a lot before this.
Yeah.
So I might just go like the complete opposite of what I usually do and play some sort of fighter.
That'd be funny because I'm thinking I'm going to do the complete opposite of what I want to do and do like or what I usually do and do like a background kind of support character.
I was looking at the what was it called? Are they Rune Knights in Tasha's?
Mm.
They look interesting.
I haven't read through their stuff yet for the Rune Knights.
Yeah,
They
I'm not
basically do
about
like
that either.
artificer stuff with their equipment.
Hmm.
They add runes and make them magic.
Oh, I see.
Ooh, you play that, and I'll play a forge cleric.
That could be fun.
Forge clerics can be so stupid.
That's why my first thought was if we do Ravnica to be like a Gruul rune major or rune knight or something.
I was actually a Boros Minotaur Forge cleric in a campaign once.
How'd you like it?
I had this very strange knack of always having the last attack of the game before we would wrap up for the night, and it would always be a critical hit with like a smite on my weapon, and it would always end up killing the enemy at the very end.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Get
It would always be
typecast.
like, oh, I guess we can continue the fight next week. It's like, oh, come on, it's my it's just like my turn. Let me just do one last attack, and I would always go like, okay, bonus action, searing smite, and then I would roll a crit, and then I'd roll all the dice, and it would be like a bunch of high rolls, and they'd be like, yeah, and they're dead.
So you did the opposite of what we do and actually killed them.
Yeah. Well, now that Xian can go ahead and just deal 50 points of damage as a reaction, I mean, we shouldn't run into that problem too much more.
Yeah. I think it's funny because it's like Valerian is very specifically he's not an overpowered person, but he's very powerful because he has 9th level spell slots.
Yeah, we figured that out last week. And apparently he can make 5 duplicates of himself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I forgot he did that.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see what happens once we wrap up this fight.
Yeah, me too.
And then now we have to talk to Valerian. Like Thorn doesn't know, like he knows Valerian's like the person that has been doing all these things, but he's not like ready to openly like antagonize him the way Argos did. So I'm not sure what he's going to do after the fight's over.
Not ready to just point at him and say J'accuse.
He's not ready to Mystic Overcharge at him yet.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I kind of just tried to shove him in a locker. I wasn't trying to hurt him. I had to hurt him to try and achieve what I wanted to do, but it's a love tap.
Yeah,
And I was
like,
just trying to put him in a corner for the rest of the fight.
that's the thing though. Thorn doesn't necessarily disagree with what he did. It's not something he would have done. So I'm not sure what he wants to do next. Because I don't know, if nothing had happened, he'd be fine fighting next to the Valerion, but then that would be the end of the truce, so to speak, after the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I mean, I don't think Argos would. Argos would probably team up with Valerion if it really seemed like the facts were in his favor. He prides himself on being a fairly non-judgmental
Which is
Minotaur.
why you specifically avoided hitting him with a spell.
Yes, I specifically avoided hitting him with a spell, and I specifically shoved him into somebody else's hypnotic pattern effect.
Which
Like,
which you now know doesn't bother him.
I mean, I wasn't expecting it to work on him because I was expecting him to use a legendary resistance if he was even vulnerable to it. But I wanted to hear you say the word legendary resistance, and you wouldn't.
And
he could have just have an item that makes him immune. We know he's got tons of items.
Yeah. I wasn't really expecting it to work. I was hoping it would work. I had to try because if it worked, it would have been great.
Well, it's a good thing you tried because I don't think Thorn would have been able to push him with your giant strength.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking, but yeah, like giants throw boulders, like I don't know what the range is, 60 feet or whatever it is.
Probably.
But I'm not trying to say that Argos should be able to do that. That would be ridiculous. But a good shove is absolutely reasonable.
30 feet.
Yeah. But I don't think Argos would be able to pick somebody up and throw them 30 feet.
No. I mean, you're essentially.
I mean, a halfling probably.
You're essentially at a strength level of. Let me see. I think
I'm at 23. I'm at a stone giant strength.
You said 23.
Okay,
so
close to the Cyclops, probably.
Let's see.
I'm surprised how many cantrips I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7 cantrips.
Nice.
So I believe.
And I only use one of them.
D&D distance in squares for moving another player. At 23, I think I calculated that you'd be able to move another player 14 squares.
Jeez.
Oh, so that's like 30, 35 feet?
But that's pushing or dragging.
Yeah, I think
it's essentially at that point it's not going to it would not impede your movement up to 14 squares.
So basically I could pick someone up and just run with them that far.
Yeah.
I think for shoving somebody, I think 15 feet is plenty because they're going to be trying to resist. It's not like it's not like an actual object. When you're actually trying to deal with a person, that's much harder.
Yeah, but
roll that, and you're doing it within 6 seconds. So it's not like a full shove. It's like a quick push.
Yeah, I'm giving him a hard shoulder, trying to shove him.
But this was actually I did a whole thing because we had a certain centaur who wanted to know about his size category and stuff. So I did a whole chart just to figure this stuff out.
Well, now it's done. So now you have it.
Yeah, I'm just like
always.
Yeah. So yeah, so essentially you have 550 foot-pounds per second of so
How many
equals
newtons
500.
is that?
So one horsepower equals 550 horsepower 550 foot-pounds per second, or 1 horsepower is the amount of work required to move 550 pounds 1 foot in 1 second. At 23 strength, the value is 2760, and that is why you're able to move something 14.4 squares, or 14 squares, 14 to 15 squares in one turn. You essentially have 6 horsepower.
Yeah, I do.
But that also, yeah, because it's essentially your strength times 120.
Hmm.
And that's your PLD value, and then that converts to horsepower, which is one horsepower is how much you're able to move 550 feet over 1 foot. 550 pounds over 1 foot. So so if somebody only weighs like 100 pounds, then you're moving less. So you multiply that by 5.
Mhm.
And it was a whole
Yeah, I think rather than trying to, physics it all out, I think we have it within a reasonable area. Anyways, I don't even know what the point of that was. The point was that I wasn't really being too aggressive against Valerian.
No, you just did something that would probably have killed normal people.
Yes, yeah. But he's not normal, and we know that. I mean, he can take a 3d8 migraine, and all it is a migraine to him. I really like that spell.
You also learned what his strength was.
Yeah. Well, I didn't expect it to be that high. What I'm really trying to find out is what his intelligence is.
We need to find out how many legendary resistances he has.
I mean, it's impossible to say. I mean, most things only get 3, but it's Eddie's world. They could all have 5 or 10 or an infinite number. It doesn't matter.
See, we just need to hold him down and cast all of our saving throw spells on him.
Yeah, right. That's why also in the last fight that we were in, when you hexed the dragon's charisma,
Mm-hmm.
and I think you were hoping that I was going to banish it, but I figured it would just legendary resist, and I wasn't going to on a legendary resistance.
Sadly, Hex doesn't work that way. It would be so good if it did. It only
I know.
their ability.
That's it. I thought about that later. It only works on ability scores, ability checks.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Oh man, if it did saving throws, that'd be so good.
Well, that's why I really love that Synaptic Static, because it works on saving throws, and that Mind Sliver. Like the other the character right now that I'm kind of drawn to for the next campaign is a psychic. What do you call those people that have Kahora? What are they? Kalishtar. There we go. I want to do a Kalishtar divination wizard and just focus on all psychic spells and just make him be like a weird psychic character, and then give it Sorcerer's Apprentice so that I can change the element of any spell and twin spell.
I was looking at Cyanites too as a fighter class.
I would be drawn to that, but I love fighters. I would play a fighter any day of the week. I love fighters.
fighters are cool. I've always like liked the idea of a fighter, but I've always played some style of Magic class.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I think
I want to do a fighter just to mix it up.
people that knock down fighters are just people without imagination. Because you can make anything in, if your character isn't exciting, it's because you didn't do it right.
Yeah, fighters are the most versatile,
Yes.
if not one of the most.
So
Classes.
here's the thing, especially with fighters, and that is because I've never had an issue playing a fighter, but I've had players who had issues playing fighters, and I that's one of the things that I love the most about fourth edition was that it gave fighters this kind of playability that allowed other people who normally couldn't play a fighter to play a fighter. Um, and that's because they didn't use fighters more than any other class uses the full gamut of what actions you have, specifically like charge and things like that.
Hmm.
And I feel like fourth edition really opened up fighters while severely restricting and nerfing the spellcasters. And I think the in between that occurred um, for fifth edition really helped. But yeah, people like fighters are also very gear dependent to feel really good.
Yeah, that is their
Mhm.
one downside is, yeah, without good equipment, I mean, a D8 sword is just a D8 sword.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just the fact that people want to be doing the big things, and fighters do good things, but they don't necessarily do the big things. Like they're not casting a fireball; they're
Tell
attacking
that
multiple
tell,
times with their sword.
tell that to Jericho, not your Jericho, the Jericho that I played in Michael's game, the second edition fighter. I made a psionic fighter who flew around on an onyx fly with a super lance. And are you familiar with second edition?
So again, this so far you have two magic items, but second edition fighters actually had um all around attack, which was the whirlwind attack, which they took from the fighter and gave to the ranger in fifth edition.
Hmm.
And 3.5 had like some other stuff that like would improve the fighter if you built it right, but um really it's like 4 attacks, action surge, 4 attacks is very powerful, especially with a magical weapon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but um, it's really the subclasses of the fighter in fifth edition are I feel are much better than what third edition was doing and second edition was doing for fighter. But it's still I feel personally not as good as what fourth edition did for the fighter.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with fourth edition. That's one of the things I missed.
Me either.
But yeah, I mean, I like fighters. I have no problem with
Yeah.
them.
Fighters are really cool. That's
So
why I want to play one because I always do almost the same thing.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, so do I. I always end up being like aggressive and out in front. And you know, I guess it's just kind of my personality coming through to the game as well.
yeah. Yeah, I personally mostly play rogue warlock. So
it's funny you say that because that was the other thing I was looking at. Was like, maybe a rogue warlock would be interesting.
yeah,
But
Yeah.
I'm basically playing a warlock now, so I don't want to do a warlock.
yeah. Out of the new classes, I think everybody's like, "Oh, the fairy, oh, the bunny, the owl," and I'm like looking at the hobgoblin of the Feywild and going like, "Oh my god, I love this guy." Um,
Did they change the rules from the hobgoblin that's written up in Eberron?
yeah, this is a different one, I believe. Actually, I don't know the Eberron.
Hold on, let me see if I have it right here. Where's my Eberron book? Oh, there it is.
The monk is also another class. I'm like, yeah, that would be fun to play, but never actually do anything with.
I played a monk once, and maybe I screwed it up, but I wasn't happy with him. He
Yeah,
he broke too easily. I couldn't get the movement. I mean, I couldn't maximize the movement, and he just seemed. I don't know. I don't think I did it right.
Yeah, you probably didn't do it right. Monks
I mean,
have a lot of power.
like, yeah, at first glance they might seem a little underwhelming, but they can just do a lot of different things, especially when you take into account their different subclasses.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I know they're good. I just,
Yeah.
if for whatever reason, the character just didn't capture me. So size medium, speed 30. They have dark vision. They have martial training with 2 martial weapons and light armor. Hobgoblins are careful not to show weakness. Oh, that's a hobgoblin.
Yeah, Hobgoblin. That's what we're doing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's because I was looking at bugbears. I was going to make a bugbear druid.
Yeah.
Never mind.
So the difference with the Hobgoblin with this one is that they have Fey ancestry, which gives them advantage on saving throws to avoid or end being charmed on themselves.
Mm.
They have Fey Gift, which is they can use the help action as a bonus action, a number of times equal to their proficiency bonus. And so they have these options starting at 3rd level that they can use with their help action, which include hospitality. So the target of their help action gain a number of temporary hit points equal to 1d6 plus their proficiency bonus. Passage, which the target of the help action increases their walking speed by 10 feet until the start of their next turn. And then Spite, which is the first time you or the target of your help action hits a creature with an attack roll, that creature has disadvantage on their next attack roll that it makes within the next minute.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's being able to do that all with a bonus action is really cool.
Yeah, and so it's like you get help as a bonus action at just right off the bat, but then at 3rd level you get to do those things, and then Fortune from the Many, which is if you miss with an attack roll or fail an ability check or a saving throw, you can draw on your bonds of reciprocity to gain a bonus to the roll equal to the number of allies you can see within 30 feet of you.
Yeah, that's in this one too, except it's called Saving Face, but it's exactly the same thing.
And then you can use this trait a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus in the game on a long rest, up to a maximum of +5. So the Fey Gift, the bonus helping stuff, I thought was really cool.
Yeah, good stuff.
It's a pretty they had the rabbit folk was like, that's cute.
I thought a lot of that's kind of corny. It's just kind of going too far. It's kind of jumped the shark.
Well,
You know?
not for me really, but then I was a huge fan of and I want to make sure I get this naming right, so give me 1 moment so I can pull it up, because there's this these guys did this kind of like custom D&D thing called Humblewood.
Oh, I think you posted that where they're playing in like some kid's backyard.
No, it's not that it's like some kid's backyard. It's like they're forest folk, and so they're all tiny. They're all like these little animal creatures. So you're like a crow or a deer or a badger. But you're like literally these like you're literally these little small creatures with the um with it, and there's like a fire that's being started in the woods, and these like fire demon things are coming out.
Owl Folk looks interesting.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Which one?
The Owl Folk.
Oh yeah. But the Humblewood I really like because they had like they just had like all sorts of different bird races and stuff. I there was all sorts of things. I just thought it was cute because it was like all these little animals.
I mean, that'd be fun. I really and I like a well, a kind of quirky, as long as it's kind of limited, for a short term campaign, like a whatever 10 episode campaign or something.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I know there's people who run like D&D campaigns for years and years and years, and I'm like, how the fuck are you guys not level 20 by then?
Well, the way Michael does it is he only hands out XP when you're in a city, and you have to take at least a month to do your leveling up and everything. So it takes a long time.
No, but like that's like in-game time, right? Like you guys have been adventuring for months now because you guys are like 6 adventures in with a couple of months in between each adventure.
Yes and no, because he also doesn't what he says is you can't gain experience until you're someplace safe. Yeah. So the definition of someplace safe can change depending on whether he wants to give out experience or not.
Right.
Yeah.
And
you could also work off the milestone system instead of experience.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like even with milestone, it's like after a while, it's sort of like, come on, we've done enough. Let's
I think about 3 episodes or 3 sessions per level, I think is a good pace.
Right, but that's what I'm saying, right? So that means like after a year, let's say you start at level 1.
Yeah.
After a year, you're about level 12. After 2 years, you're level 24. So that's what I'm saying. Like I've seen these campaigns where people are running for 2 years, and I'm like, why are you guys not little godlings by now? Or like I'll see them run for like 2 years, and then they're like, yeah, I finally hit level 11. I'm like,
Jesus.
I mean, some people like to go the slow route.
I don't mind if the thing is like if the story is good and if the interactions with the characters are good, and I'm not that greedy, I'm not always out there looking for, the Holy Avenger and fucking super everything. I don't mind playing. One of the most fun games I ever played was with Rich and a couple other kids, a couple other people we knew. And we just rolled random characters. I said, we're just going to do just a stupid old school dungeon crawl, see how long you can last. We rolled for all of our random stats. We rolled for a random race. We rolled for a random class. And then we built the best characters we could out of it. And then I just put them in a stereotypical dungeon. And it was fun because we had a wizard that didn't know how to cast any spells because intelligence was like his lowest stat. But it was a fun game because the chemistry worked.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it all made me think of Critical Role, which is obviously like very different from a normal campaign, but they've been going on over 2 years, and they're like level 13 or 14. I think they're not even 13, maybe 12.
Yeah, they'll spend 4 hours on one shopping session.
Yeah.
That's the other thing that Mike's game does is it drags. Like one session is 90% of one session is everybody sitting around talking about like YouTube.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because it's really just an excuse to hang out.
Yeah. No, I'm not
Yeah.
saying to knock it. It's just
Yeah.
like the pace. They've been playing that second edition game for so long that it really is just a time to hang out.
Yeah.
So if we happen to get somewhere, and then we'll just, we'll spend 3 weeks discussing how to approach this certain magical item. And, then we'll spend another 2 weeks going to different places to gather resources and talk to people. And then, we'll spend another week just rehashing the plan again. And then, by 6 weeks later, we're actually addressing the story.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of fun in just the little role play that happens with these sorts of like slower paced sessions or
Mhm.
campaigns.
Yeah, and I would love to be able to really pull that off, but the biggest issue I have with it is that I always I always feel pressured, but then I also feel like if I don't give a direction, I don't know what like I require so much planning for everything that I do that it's sort of like I want to at least have an idea of where everybody's going.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I mean, I always have backup plans. I do. But it's sort of like it's the same backup plan until I have to use it.
Mhm.
And so once I have to use it, I'm like, well, now I have to rewrite that kind of thing, right? So I can't do like three backup, three different like left turns, and it's like I'm gonna be like, well, we're gonna either start circling back, or you guys are or we're just done. I'm like, okay, you guys, your characters ended up doing nothing with their lives, and stuck in a small town forever. Goodbye. You know what I'm saying? Like it would
Yeah.
just be like that, where I'm just like, yeah, you guys. Turns out your characters are not made of the stuff to be heroes, and their lives are meaningless. The end.
I choose to retire and own a tavern.
I bet that could make a good game if you got the right, the right crew together, the right, situation.
Mhm.
Just the most boring D&D game ever.
It's just that like with the right group, like it could be fine, just because you're like, oh yeah, we're gonna talk to each other. We're gonna say, oh hey, how's it going?
Hmm.
And things like that. But with um, if you don't have the right group doing that, like you're just
Well, you get into different people's different expectations, and
Yeah, that's the kind of thing where you need a group that's been playing together for long enough to uh, like feed off each other.
mhm.
yeah, which is great. Like I think that's like why Critical Role works so well. Those I believe they've been playing with each other for years and years now, right? Like it's
I think it was they played their first campaign 3 years before they started streaming it.
yeah, and it's the
It
same.
Well,
was
aren't they all? They're all actors and improvers, anyways. So
yeah, they all have theater backgrounds, but they hadn't met each other before, or at least most of them hadn't like hung out with each other before they started playing that first campaign.
It's very
Outside of like
similar.
maybe working together.
Dimension 20, as well, where it's sort of like those guys are amazing at what they do. They're all comedians and improv and um,
mhm.
their DM is amazing. Brandon Lee Mulligan is like, those are goals. He,
Yeah,
he
I mean the DM will change how a game is run
yeah,
drastically. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like Critical Role though, I feel like he can, like, as a DM, he can sit back and let everybody role play.
yeah, I think that's why it's so entertaining because it's not just the DM telling the story; everyone's doing it at the same time.
Yeah,
Well, that's kind of why I don't know if you're. I was pitching before we started the modern campaign. I was kind of like, why don't we all get together and even more than doing just a session zero, talk about the structure of the campaign. Like, what do we want the story to be? Where do we want,
yeah.
so that we're all kind of role playing in the same direction rather than I don't think I was very articulate about it.
Yeah,
No, I get what you're trying to say.
yeah, because like like with the modern campaign, like I'm like I have this idea. This is the
Yeah.
storyline that I
Well,
kind of
I
want to
just I
present
just
to you
brought that up
guys.
because that's when we were talking about it.
Yeah,
But I'd just be like, for the next campaign, let's, talk about the world. We'll talk about, what's important and why, and who these characters are and why they're traveling together, and be like, hey, how dark do we want to get the story to go? And, like,
yeah,
should
Yeah,
we
just
really have,
try and set expectations before starting.
yeah, that's kind of where I'm going with that.
Yeah, I mean that's what I would do because I've DM before, but I don't have nearly as much experience as like Eddie, for example.
Mhm.
So I would start by just like getting everyone together and being like, okay, what do you want me to do? Do we want like half and half of role play and combat, or do you want to lean one way or the other?
Mm-hmm.
yeah. That's why I created a little questionnaire just to kind of like get a few things going. There's there I did do I haven't done it for you guys specifically. There was one of my questionnaires before was like, is there a topic you don't want you to bring up? There's a whole questionnaire online that somebody else made, um, that's like specifically about like different triggers and things like that, which is really important, especially when you're going into a new group. I think it's a great tool to have. Let's see, it's what is it like D&D?
I mean, setting boundaries early is usually going to solve a lot of the problems that might come up later.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Oh,
Sorry I'm late.
You are here.
oh, hey, what happened?
Sorry. No, I blew it. I got sucked into to some other things. It's my I planned to be here, but I missed it.
Oh,
I don't
no,
really.
yeah,
Well, we gained a you and we lost a Rich
yeah,
a little while ago. We've just been sitting around chatting for a
yeah,
while.
yeah. Rich ended up having to take a phone call, and we're waiting for him to come back. Uh,
Gotcha. All
so
right.
that,
Well, sorry I'm late.
oh no, so we thought that maybe you were tired and had fallen asleep and missed the timing. Um,
Well, so that's the reason why I said no on Friday, because that's basically what happened. Or
yeah,
yeah, that's basically what happens because I can't do weekdays at all because I work really. I get to work at like 5 in the morning, so I end
yeah,
up going to bed at like 7. Um, 7, 8 o'clock. So and then yeah, I agreed to this time, but I blew it. So I apologize.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate just everyone taking the time. I already said this to the other guys, but I appreciate everyone rescheduling to accommodate my power outage.
That's fine.
So thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, like I'm good as long as it stays on the weekend. That's kind of my only flexible section is weekend. Sunday, Saturday. I work sometimes on Saturdays, so it's a-okay for it to be later in the afternoon.
I'm gonna text Rich and see if he's
I don't know. Thanks. Yeah, just
available.
for the phone call. Yeah.
What
So
did what did I
here it is.
miss?
Nothing.
We literally did nothing. We've just been talking.
Yeah, I
Oh.
set up my stunt.
Yeah.
If you look at the chat,
Oh, nice.
Okay, so I found the digital RPG consent checklist, and it has questions like if this game were a movie, what rating would it be? And then there's questions for horror with green bean, you're okay with it. Yellow, it's like can we like fade to black or something, and red is like not at all.
He's coming.
Uh, Covering things
He
like
just responded to you on Discord.
oh nice, literally just cut off the phone. Funny. Such as bugs, blood, demons, eyeballs, gore, harm to animals, harm to children, rats, and spiders. So I think I might throw this directly back as a thing for you guys to do, as well as the other questionnaire, just so that maybe we can get if there's any kind of like more deeper RP stuff that you guys want to explore. I know I've kind of like generally asked you guys, and for the most part, like there's like I sometimes go kind of explicit with the gore and with descriptions and
Eddie, what I'm really missing out on is you RPing a husband and wife really going at it. All right, that's what we're missing from this. Really,
I
is
mean,
you just take like an hour of RPing with yourself over the lewdest stuff, like
I
your fanfic streams.
yeah.
We just like
Hold on,
I'm sure that'll
hold
bring
on,
in the audience.
hold on. Did you actually go and read and like watch any of my fanfic streams?
So I do follow you on Twitch, and I do see you on my feed, and I do read your titles from time to time, but I do not jump into the streams when I see those stream titles.
Okay.
Just as a friend, I'm letting you know straight up. I'm really playing the joke here. I am not serious at all. I do not watch that stuff. I'm not into that kind of stuff. Not my thing. And I don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to yuck anybody else's yum here. If that's your thing, cool. Go for it. Right? Just not me.
We don't kink shame here.
No. We don't kink shame, but that does not mean we kink participate either. Let's be honest there.
Well, okay, like my
This is on a
line.
volunteer basis here.
Yes.
I definitely want to keep that stuff out of D&D though. Let's keep
Sorry,
that stuff out of D&D.
I had to run to the other room to get my phone. What did I
Fine.
miss?
You missed
Rich is coming
nothing.
back.
Oh,
you
awesome.
didn't
Yeah, I
miss
saw
much.
that. Yeah.
Eddie was just talking about a questionnaire and what for stuff that we would like to see in RP, and I was jokingly talking about him spending an hour talking or role playing a husband and a wife, just really going at it for
Specifically,
hours.
husband and wife.
That's what our RP experience is missing.
Yeah. Because we were talking about the consent form stuff, and I'm like, I mean, I could, but I don't think you guys would actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
I feel
just like his fanfic streams.
I feel like some of you guys are too straight. And I don't mean that as a pejorative. But I think it would make you guys too uncomfortable to hear me moaning on the microphone in your ears.
I mean, yeah, I would agree, but I also think that's kind of the point.
That was the point of the joke. And if you did it one time as a joke, I wouldn't be mad at you. But if you did it every single time, I'd be pretty fucking mad.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. Okay. Because it's.
But there is
like
nothing worse than trying to make out with the DM. I mean,
Like-
doing romance in D&D is just the worst.
Like if we were still sitting in the game store, right, playing our
Yeah.
old game, and you were RPing as Melissa, and you really just started like doing something weird, right?
Oh, God.
Because Melissa was supposed to be my wife, or Spite's wife, and
Yeah.
if you really started doing something weird, I'd be like, "That's funny." Never again.
Yeah. At which point I'd go, okay, fair enough.
Where's the
but-
skip cutscene button?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and so in the consent form thing that I'll end up sharing with you guys later, so that I could get the answers. That would be a yellow. Would be the ability to go like, okay, and fade to black.
Mhm.
So
Which we actually did a fade to black with Rich's character on the rooftop. With
we technically did.
yeah.
We technically did.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we did. I
Yeah,
forgot
and
that happened.
Yeah, and I think everybody was really
we've
like that was
done a
okay.
fade to
yeah,
we've done a fade to black in Discord, I think, with Melissa as well.
Yeah,
It
I
was
think
in
we did that as
Discord,
well.
but we've never done it in an actual like session.
Yeah, and I think the fade to black for anything that would be kind of uncomfortable for anybody, I think that works. But also, like, I'm a married person. I really don't want to go like.
Of course. No, I'm
like-
not saying
on,
you should.
like I really don't want to be like, hey, you wanna?
No, the best time to
you
do
wanna
it is when your wife is standing or sitting right behind you while you're playing with us online,
God,
right?
I
Or
was-
she
That
just
would be
comes
the
in to
best.
bring you a drink or something. That's the best moment to do it.
She overheard me read a poem that I wrote, and she just looked at me and just said, like, "Shut the fuck up with that shit." But
It's pretty funny.
yeah. But it was one of those.
Ayo.
Hey, are you back? Welcome.
all
Yeah.
right.
All right.
D&D time.
The
All
band's
right.
back together.
What were we doing? What happened?
It's Moon's
I-
turn.
Chaos.
It's Moon. And again, please comment, like, and subscribe here and on Twitch. Um, and support me on Patreon. Okay, love you guys. Bye.